All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Ebony again, a.k.a. Fit Mom Diva of Simplicity Health Style, and today we have Miss Sydney with us. How are you, Sydney?
Good. How are y'all?
We are doing awesome. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend with us and share some jewels and parts of your life with us. We surely appreciate it. And for those of you that do stick around to the end, as a form of appreciation for you, I'll have an opportunity for you to earn a complimentary gift. So stick around and let's see what Miss Sydney wants to share with us today.
Okay.
So, Sydney, can you share a successful or a motivating quote that really inspires you? Something that gets you going in your times where maybe there are times where you're challenged or you're just down a little bit, it uplifts you. Something that you would like to share with us so we get to know you a little bit better.
So the quote that I like to live by is she believed she could, so she did. So what I really like makes me so attached to that is because I'm like somebody who has always kind of dealt with like self-doubt and not believing that I could accomplish a goal, and knowing that I have those abilities, and knowing that if I believe it in my mind that I can do it and I can visualize it, it can happen. So that's something that just being in college has been basically like my words of motivation when I do anything, whether it be a speech, whether it be going out for opportunity. It's just the one thing that, keeps me motivated and just lets me know if you believe you can do it, it can happen. So that's like what I
Yeah,
like to live.
that is so beautiful. And a lot of times, in order for us to realize our dreams, it does include belief. You
Yes.
can know a lot of things, but if you don't believe that can actually actualize in your life, well, you
Right.
just subtracted a part of the equation that you need in order to bring that dream or that goal to fruition.
Exactly.
Can you talk a little bit about a time in your life where maybe you were doubtful, maybe you didn't have belief, and maybe you had some external circumstances arise and you just said to yourself, I don't think I'm going to be able to get through this. But at the end of the day, you were able to see that goal or that dream to fruition.
So what I've mainly dealt with, like I would say probably about a year ago, was really like actually not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. I'm like a huge planner. So everything is always like, oh, 5 years down the road, I'm going to be doing this. 2 years down the road, I'm going to be doing this. That can actually be really like negative to the mindset. And that was something I really had to learn kind of going through my transition from being a high school student to a college student, and knowing that I didn't have to know what I wanted to do. That was really something that was hard for me, just being somebody who's a planner. I want to know, okay, I'm going to be doing this month. I'm going to plan to do this month. I'm going to have this opportunity before school starts, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I really dealt with like just not knowing what my path was, and being around people who kind of already knew what they wanted to do. I have a very like hardworking group of friends, and I kind of had a moment where I was feeling like not so confident with myself. Like, why do you not know what you want to do? And I found that a lot of it was because I was really pushing my passions to the side and not really what's going to be, the best job for me at that time. And, those years, like what will the world be like at that time? Or what's going to make me the most money? And those are things, of course, that go through your mind because you're paying for school. You're thinking about how can I make the most of the 4 years that I've just spent, putting all my time and effort into what job is going to be the best for that. But that was something where I had to really just step back, talk to my mentors. I had a great mentor here. She's amazing. One of my professors, really just talk to her, talk to people around me, and also just really talk to myself and was like, where do you see yourself being happy? Not all the other aspects that are on the outside, and just pushing my anxiety to the side and being like, okay, you love to write and that's something that you want to do. And I don't want to, I came in wanting to be an account executive, found out that was nothing I even wanted to do in life, but I found that I wanted to people. I can, get talk to different audiences. I can write. I can do so many different things, and I can meet people, and that's where my heart was. So I spent basically my 9 months of freshman year not knowing exactly what I wanted to do, but it really helped me just realize that this is what college is for. You can think about what you want to do, and even if I graduate and still don't know what I want to do, that's okay. It's all a part of the journey. So that was one thing that I went through.
Yeah, and I talk to so many ladies that are in college and they say to themselves, I'm doing well in my classes. This isn't really the very difficult thing because I've been used to being in school my whole life. What's
Right.
difficult for me right now is thinking about what my next step is with what I'm in school for.
Right.
Like, what am I going to do once I
Right.
graduate in the next 3 months? And I've
Right.
spent all this money and I don't necessarily want to go back to living with my parents. I want to, secure a job that, pays me pretty good money to be able to pay my bills. But
Right.
then also, I want that job to be fulfilling and
Yes.
meaningful to me. I don't want to
Right.
be in a place where I'm spending 8 hours a day feeling like, oh my gosh, well, when is 5 o'clock going to come? So I get
Right.
out of this place.
I'm just sitting
But
there.
all my bills are paid at the same time.
Right.
So I I can totally relate to that actually. For those people that have listened to my content, my interview content, and have read my blog articles and know a little bit about me, they know that there was a time in my life where I was getting paid very well in corporate America, but it wasn't a meaningful job. The most meaningful thing to me was the 15-minute game time that they allowed me to spearhead every day. And if I was able to squeeze in another few minutes, I was surely going to do it. So that I have to sit back at my desk for a meaningless job.
Right.
So it's so key to figure out what it is that really lights you up. I mean, I'm not saying that everything is always going to be
Right.
rainbows and sunshine, but if at least half of your day to 3/4 of your day could be spent doing something you really enjoy that lights you up, I mean, that's so much better than being miserable.
Yes. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how people can gain support with realizing their dreams and bringing their goals to fruition, though? Because, of course, there are a lot of people out there that say, well, I know what I want to do, and I even know the steps to do it, but I just feel like I don't have anybody to help me. I don't have any support system that's there to encourage me or to help me so that I'm able to achieve these implementation steps toward my goal. So can you talk a little bit about maybe some challenges that you face with a support system or any words of encouragement that you could give to people that are looking for a strong support system?
So when it came to the support system, I come from a very like supportive family. My mom, my grandmother, they're extremely supportive. If I tell them I want to be a doctor tomorrow, they'd be like, "Okay, so what are we gonna do? What are we gonna have to do to help you do that?" They've always been great about that, but it was really hard for me being a person who was just like coming out of high school and going into college. I was the first one to do that in my family. My mom waited, and so she wanted to go a completely different path. She is in healthcare, and that is something that it makes her happy. But that was, she didn't understand how to help me through wanting to be a writer. She helped me definitely through high school and through middle school. I always say she's the reason why I ended up learning how to write, because anytime I had any issue with writing, she was like, okay, we're going to figure out how to do this. And she would go in her room and she'd be like, okay, I'm going to write down notes, I'm going to figure this out, even though she hated public speaking, writing, any of that. So in that aspect, she was extremely supportive, and so was my grandmother. But it's hard when nobody's ever been in that field before and you don't really have anybody who's around you who's in that field to kind of take you through the steps. I didn't really meet and kind of be able to network with people within writing and wanting to do public relations until I got to college. So I would always say one of the things I've learned just being media based field and wanting to studying that is networking. That's the only way you can really make it through communication, is communicating with the people within your circle.
Yeah.
And that's friends, but that's also colleagues, and that's also the people that are your mentors and their mentors. So you learn from each level. Me and all my friends, we met because we were within similar majors, and they're a huge support system because they get the struggle and the grind that it takes to get from being somebody who is just like an intern to wanting to be in those high positions of like creative director, public relations director, communications director, even sometimes being CEO. So they kind of get that grind that comes from being at the bottom and then, working your way up through the ladder. Another thing that I struggled with was really just, you don't really know what outlet you can take, because you can go so many different ways in your career at this point, because you can do the social media route and work your way through like having a blog and making postings, or you don't know if you should reach out to like somebody within your school. It's just always like, you never know who you should reach out to at the right time. So that was something that I struggled with too. But what I've like learned is any support system is a good support system. No matter if it's a friend, a parent, anytime you're getting those thoughts out, letting them know, okay, I'm kind of struggling with this, or even just mentioning what you want to do. I work at TJ Maxx. I worked there for 3 years, and I always mention and speaking into existence, oh, I want to be a writer. And I've met so many people who they'll give you encouraging words. I've met people who work for a company that I want to intern with this summer. And it's just speaking it out loud. You'll get support systems that you had never even thought of. It's somebody who was my customer, and they were like, I can help you. Give me your number. I'll give you my card. We can work through this. I want to help you. So I always say you should move in silence, but you should speak it into existence. I definitely think you should keep things close to your heart if it really matters that much to you. But the only way that you can make it happen is if you speak about it. So I always try to make sure I tell people, I don't go into extreme detail of everything that I want to do, but I tell people, I want to be a writer. I do want to work in public relations, and I do want to work for a Fortune 500 company or a beauty company sometime down the road, but I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. I want to be a writer. I want to be a blogger, and I speak that out. And I feel like if you know what to keep close to your heart, but also know what to say so you can get that support system and make those contacts, then that's the best way that you should do it. Only say what's comfortable for you. And it definitely does take time, because I didn't want to tell anybody I was a writer, because they were going to be like, she has all this ability. Why does she want to do that when it's so hard to do that? So I definitely had to work through that, but knowing that that's my passion and that's what I love to do, I'm going to tell anybody no matter what. So that's definitely my encouraging words. If you love it, you believe it, you'll find a support system in it. And even if you don't, it will.
Yeah, that is so true. If it's something that you are particularly passionate about, you will find a support system, because your focus is in that. Your time, your attention, and a lot of times your activity is so focused in that area that you can't help but to come across other people that have a similar interest. And you begin to form sometimes friendships from those similar people. So for example, you writing a book and you coming across other people that also have an interest in writing a book, or maybe they've written a book before, or maybe they've been a part of the book publishing process. Maybe they've never written their own book, but they've edited somebody else's book, or they've designed a cover to someone else's book. You're putting yourself in contact with more people that do have similar interests, and people that are probably about also achieving their dreams too. So I think that, it's such a freeing thing to really understand what lights you up and what your passions are and what your gifts are, so that you can begin to utilize those on a regular basis.
Right.
That goes into the next thing I was going to ask you, though. Sometimes we don't actually take steps forward because we're just so drained, we're overwhelmed, we're frustrated, we're tired. A lot of times, particularly if you live in a high congested area, you may be sitting in traffic for a couple hours a day. I know that where I'm from, the Maryland, DC area, it's like you'll be sitting in traffic on a Saturday,
In random time.
You will easily sit in traffic on a Saturday or a Sunday. Here in Tampa, Florida, where I currently live, it's not as congested. There are certain areas that can be congested at certain times out of the day, but it's nowhere near as congested as the Maryland, DC area where I'm from. And I know for a lot of people, sitting in traffic after you just worked an 8-hour day and you sat in that same traffic that morning, the last thing on your mind sometimes is spending time in self-reflection and doing anything that is going to be related to your dreams, because you're just so exhausted. Yeah. So can you talk about some ways that you have infused self-care into your life, and maybe even talk about your challenges with that?
So I'm the person who is always going. I definitely struggled with that my last semester. I kind of went through what you would call the sophomore slump. So you're done with your first year, so you kind of know what you're doing, but you're still a little confused about what you're doing. So I was like, I went into the semester saying I'm gonna do everything. So I ended up getting a job on campus. I was writing for a writing for her campus. I was also, still going to career counselor, and I was telling, basically he was like my career therapist. So I was telling him like, I know I want to do this and that. And I was talking to him about wanting to start a blog, and I still wasn't able to put time into that. And he was like, I believe in you. I know you're going to do it. But I was still in my mind like, I don't know if I want to do it. And then I was still just struggling with taking 18 credit hours, still trying to get adjusted to my new major that I was in, and really just like, it was also all the other factors was still trying to balance a social life, still trying to have time for myself. It was just a lot. And then, just new surroundings, you're back. I don't go to school where I'm from Nashville, and I go to school at University of Kentucky. So that was a huge, that's still a huge change, no matter if it's like my first, second, or third semester. So that was something that I really struggled with last semester. And I actually ended up, it got so bad to where I was like, okay, you need to talk to somebody. So I ended up actually going to therapy, and that was probably one of the best decisions I ever made. Because I'm really in my head a lot. I'm a huge thinker. While it is really great, and I think it's probably one of my best traits, it's also one of my worst traits when it comes to just self-reflection and taking care of myself. I get really in my head, and anything that I say to myself, a lot of the times I wouldn't tell other people. I'm not as motivating with myself as I am with other people. So that's really something I've been working on. And I even talked to my therapist about that. She's great. And we have free counseling, which I think is something that anybody should do. No matter if you feel like you're struggling or not, talking to somebody else outside of your own mind makes you feel a million times better. So that was something that I did in December, which I hated that I waited to December, but I think everything happens in good timing. I love journaling. That's just like me liking to write. I'll even write my phone, just like how I'm feeling a certain day. If something's just really like heavy on my mind, I'll just write out my thoughts. I really like to sit in my car. I love talking to myself in my car. Actually, I'll turn down my music. I did that a lot this summer, like when I was working. I wouldn't listen to music all the time when I was driving home. It was like a 20-minute drive, but even those 20 minutes just to kind of just breathe and think about, okay, I've had a hard day, but I can still do this. And I only had a month left until I had to go back to school, and just think about all the positive things that were coming. Kind of just taking like mental notes. I'm somebody who has like a million post-its of everything that I want to do. So like I'll be like just thinking about different things I want to do, like different ideas, and I'll have like some of the most random like ideas about things I want to write or things I want to do. When I get back to campus, they'll just come to mind. I think a lot of times just like sitting in silence helps a lot. I still love music. That's something that just kind of clears my mind. Even just making sure that you just take an hour out of your day just to do something by yourself. I'm an only child, so I just naturally do things by myself. I don't really wait for anybody. But having that time by yourself, if you're somebody who really doesn't spend a lot of time, can really just help you focus on your dreams. I journal even with like just writing like physically. I like to write out my goals, things I'm focused on, any ideas I come up with. I like to just make sure I have some time to reflect. And I think that's the reason why I've kind of gotten into a more positive mindset like I used to have, because I reflect on my own dreams and kind of take my time out from pouring into I pour into them, help them achieve their dreams. But then it's just kind of like after my long day, what have I done to help myself? So that is something I've been working on, and really just knowing that self-reflection is just only taking me an extra step ahead. So I basically put it into my schedule now. No matter what, if I have to stay up a little bit later to get something done, I'm going to have that hour to myself. And I just think that's important. No matter what I have to get done that day, I'm like, I'll go to the gym by myself, or I'll go just sit in my room by myself, put my headphones in, write something, organize my day a little bit better. Just any time that I have for myself, I take it. And I always just try to make sure it's an hour. If I can do longer, I will. But that's just something, just making sure that I have that self-reflection and silence really helps me. So, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that a lot of people will also do is journal on a daily basis so they can get their thoughts out on paper. And there's just something about when you write down what you're thinking, yes, and you write down even your goals and the things that excite you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just solidifies it in your mind a little bit better. and you feel a sense of commitment to wanting to achieve that thing because you wrote it down and you consistently write it down. I often tell people that, you know, self-care is not something that you need to necessarily do every day. If you can do it every single day, awesome. That is just perfect. But if you can't do it every single day based on how your lifestyle is set up, don't feel guilty if one day went by and you didn't do any self-care. Don't even feel guilty if a whole week went by and you didn't do any self-care. Just know to get back on it. I mean, that's the best way that you could go about it, because we all know that sometimes our lifestyles can just be very busy. Sometimes things happen in our life where you have all intentions of spending time with yourself and reflecting and all of that, and it just doesn't happen that day or those couple days for various reasons. So I think that just getting in the mindset of just being more conscious to add more of it in. And then the more you do it, the more comfortable it's going to feel for you and the more fulfilled you're going to feel, where you're just naturally going to want to make sure that you spend that time every day or every other day, you know, because you're going to notice the difference in how you feel. That's the thing. But to go from you provide yourself with self-care by spending money on a manicure or a pedicure one day a month to now, oh, I need to spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes meditating every day. I mean, sometimes that can produce more mental stress than not. And you're trying to alleviate stress, and now you're producing mental stress because you're thinking of it as a chore, you know? So just add it in your life in, you know, small increments, and you're going to build up to it just being a part of your lifestyle.
And one thing that I wanted to say was, it's definitely, like you said, it's more than just like, oh, I'm going to get a manicure this day, or I'm going to get a pedicure this way, or a face mask, or I'm going to take a bath. It's really like thinking about who's in your life. Are you doing something that's really fulfilling you? Are you happy? Is something in your life that's kind of throwing off the happiness? Is this a one thing that just like, it just doesn't add anything to my day? That's something that I really focused on, kind of getting away from like the physical self-care and more of the emotional and mental self-care. So like you said.
Yeah. And some people have told me that, you know, their stress reliever and self-care is coloring in a coloring book. And I've had other people tell me they love to garden. Some people like to exercise. Some people like to go take, you know, just little brisk walks. And you can do that with your family members to make it, you know, a family thing if you're someone that prefers more social activities. It can be any and everything. But really what it is just you spending time where you're feeding your spirit instead of it being I'm doing for everybody else and you're draining yourself. So I think that, you know, just take it baby steps at a time. That's the best way to go about it. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing. Just take it baby steps at a time. And over time, you're going to see that you just begin to naturally create a new type of healthier lifestyle for yourself. And in turn, you have more energy and vitality to work on your dreams and your visions and your goals that you have set for yourself. Is there anything that you would like to share with us before we close? I do want to invite any of you listening to my Nutrition for Busy Women Facebook group, though. We're not just talking about nutrition from a mind or from a physical standpoint, but also from a mind, body, and soul standpoint. So it's anything that you feed into your mind, body, or soul to help you be the best person that you can be and to serve others in the best way that you can. So I always tell people this. If you're thinking to yourself, I'm listening to Sydney talk, I'm listening to Ebonie talk, and this is all well and fine, but I really don't have a strong foundation as to where I would like to see myself, what dreams I would like to fulfill. I talked about at the beginning of this interview that if you got in contact with me, either through my Nutrition for Busy Women Facebook group or you email me, I'll provide you with a complimentary gift. So what I'm going to do is provide you with a resource to help you understand your gifts, understand your talents, understand your strengths, and understand the underlying things in your life that can help you determine your core life purpose and to enhance that purpose. Even if you know what your purpose is, sometimes we need help just enhancing it, bringing it more to life. So if you need help with just that foundation so that you can begin to make better choices that are going to make you feel more fulfilled, I can help you with that. I love doing that kind of stuff. I'm passionate about it. And before you know it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, my life has significantly changed. And all it took was just you doing a little bit more self-introspection. That's all.
Yeah.
So, Sydney, can you end by just sharing some words of encouragement to ladies that might feel like they're a little stuck? They don't really understand what their next step is, or they're just having difficulty trying to break out of the mold into that next step.
So what I would say is now that I'm kind of entering my 20s, I'm not 20 years old, which I still feel like a baby, but one thing that I've learned is I always see this quote, and it says that you're the CEO of your life. So you can hire, you can fire, and you can delegate accordingly. So I always like to think I'm always control of my destiny and what is ahead of me. So if I decide that I want to put time into somebody who is not helping me or pouring into me as much as I'm pouring into them, then that is a choice that I am choosing towards my life. I definitely think that whatever you put your time into, you're either helping yourself or you're negatively impacting yourself. And that is just something that you should keep in mind with any interaction you have with colleagues, with friends, with romantic partners, anything that is coming into your life, even your job. I've seen too many people put time into things where they could really just, it's hard to take a step that's a risk, but sometimes that risk can really just automatically change your life in a completely different way. So knowing that it's okay to mess up, it's okay to not know what you're doing, it's okay to get a bad grade, it's okay to you just it's okay to figure it out and figure it out day by day and not know what you're going to be doing 365 days later. Like, oh, I don't know where I'm going to be a year from now, but I'm taking steps towards it. And even if I decide that I want to change my mind in the next 6 months, that's okay. We're all still learning in progress. Even my mentor tells me I'm still learning. She was like, I don't know everything. I'm not completely confident with everything that I do, and that's okay. And she was like, I'm almost 40, so you being 20 and putting all those expectations on yourself to know everything that you're going to be doing in the next 10 to 15 20 years, it's unnecessary. So I always just tell everybody, I always tell everybody I'll see where my life is at. I always say that, and I live by that. I just live my day by day. If everything is helping me and making me feel good and I feel positive about it, I continue to do it. And as soon as I feel like something doesn't fit my life anymore, I adjust it. And I just feel like always being able to adjust to your surroundings, your circumstances, and just knowing that it all works out in the end, you'll be fine. And that is a work in progress as well. I still struggle with that, just being the person who wants to know everything that's going on. But just working within yourself and knowing that it's okay for you to mess up, even if it's your first or your second time messing up. It's okay to mess up a million times. You're fine. You're human, and we're all learning in every single day. No matter from when we're born to when we die, we're always learning. So you just got to live your life for you and for no one else. And just when in doubt, just be happy as much as you can, because we only get one life. So.
Yes, thank you. I love everything that you just said, and all of us can relate to that. And it is really about taking the baby steps to realizing our dreams. There are certain areas in my life where I feel like, well, I don't know what is going to come of this, and I really don't even know if I even want to make this next step, but I'm steadily making steps toward it. And then if things get derailed, then they get derailed. But I'm taking the baby steps toward it, and sometimes feeling like I don't know what in the world I'm even doing on this earth sometimes, but because I make baby steps toward it, I can begin to see progress. And sometimes the progress helps me in other areas that I didn't necessarily foresee. So just momentum in some fashion or form is always going to help us grow, even if it's not in the direction that we initially quote unquote planned. I know plenty of things that I planned and wanted didn't happen, but then something else happened that was actually even better than what I planned. So just creating some momentum and some action towards something that's productive, I think is what we need to keep in mind.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Sydney. I appreciate you and all of you listening. Sydney said some awesome stuff. So if you can send this out to a friend or a family member that you believe can benefit, please do so. And if any of you listening want to share your experiences, you want to share your stories as well, your challenges even, please connect with me, and I would love to have you speak on one of the future episodes. Yeah. Thank you again, Sydney. I appreciate you so much. And wherever you guys are in the world, always remember to live a life full of meaning and purpose. I will see you in our next episode.
Bye, guys.